Hey guys, welcome to episode 17 of Azure Infinitum podcast. Today we are going to talk a little bit about our community's big weekend event, Azure Day Weekend. It's happened recently in Final Fantasy XIV, where our free company resides. We're also going to talk a little bit about the E3 cancellation, some recent news, and a bit about the big patch 6.4 drop coming for Final Fantasy XIV that came, lots of information this morning, a little bit later in the show. So for you guys here, with us, how did you guys like the weekend? Did you guys enjoy all the activities that we pulled off?
Great time.
I always enjoy Azure Day weekends. You know.
I can't believe I found Nora twice. With I stepped on her.
For the record, this was without using the Eternal Bond Ring.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be our hide and seek game. Throughout our Azure Day weekends, we, for those listening, if you don't know, we have a number of mini games that we play. Some silly stuff that we do: raffles, parades, contests, races, prizes galore. One of our big events that we do is a zone-wide hide and seek game. But it's kind of like hide and seek on crack. We have people that start seeking, and it just ends up with everybody seeking, and the last few people are nervously hiding. And by the end of that, we've got just all these people converging on one point, and then we do a couple rounds of that. Funny enough, the one of our winners was, and we joke about this from time to time, one of our winners was one of the big Rogadin characters, our resident chocolate row, Johnny Gat, as he calls himself.
Hello, Johnny.
Pompadour and all, hiding was found.
Johnny.
Man,
Johnny's great.
I still don't know how that row managed to hide that well.
It's funny because every time we start a game, people are like, "Oh, the Lalafels are going to win." We just know, nope. Sometimes
we almost never do.
It's we have the Incredible Hulk hiding out there, and it manages to stay hidden.
Reika, next time I'm dyeing my hair because you guys keep finding me because of my ears and tail.
Yeah, that pink hair kind of stands out, especially in the shroud where everything's green and green and brown, and then there's you.
Yeah. Shout out to Johnny though. He power leveled my blue mage from 50 to 70. So shout out to Johnny.
Nice.
Johnny.
Yeah, that was cool.
Speaking of blue mage, even though we're going to talk about more of this later, blue mage getting a 10 level increase. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Can't wait.
Yep. So. Was that glitch?
And I saw the gear too. It's
fancy. It's fancy.
It looks like pimp gear. I'm sorry.
I wasn't gonna call it that, but okay.
They do have a cane. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
So throughout the weekend, we had roughly 18 to 20 or so hours of events. That is a few hours shorter than the usual Azure Day. Sunday we started at 1 p.m. Pacific, and ended around 9 to the 9 to 10ish Pacific range in time. In previous Azure Days, we'd go from noon to midnight, but we were considering the sort of patch lull going on right now, and so we we chose a variety of events that would kind of give some breaks in between certain events. There was a couple times we had like a break time, and then we also had more raffles. A little bit more raffles than usual. We had close to 35 flash raffles through the weekend. Usually, there's 3 to 5 at a time, spread out through the day, and then a few at the beginning and a few at the end. And we also gave out, God, how much gil did we give out? We gave out quite a bit of gil. We had a couple golden flash raffles, which gives out over 1 million gil at a time in game. We had 2 fantastic parades. At least one of them, I think, was one of the longest ones I've ever seen, and that's actually really incredible for this point in the game right now, because a lot of people know that we're at a point where we're waiting on the next patch to come out, and it's not so much our community, but the overall FF14 right now is a little slow, and so that didn't really have much impact on Azure Day. There was quite a bit of attendees, and we were really, really thankful to see so many people that came out to support the FC, and especially, it's huge parade. And as usual, our parade picks up new recruits. We had 4 new recruits join over the 2 different parades that we did.
They just decided to follow us.
Yeah, that always happens. Even people who don't join, who are in other FCs, will
we'll just
join
get
in a parade for the shits and giggles. Yeah.
Hashtag not a cult.
Yeah.
Yep.
Totally cool.
The funny thing is we say people join during the parade, but we really think about it. Just the ability to have a community that is able to organize such a thing and keep it organized and be able to pull that off will tell a recruit, they must have like some degree of order and an activity there to be able to pull that off. So that immediately tells them. And then if they look any more into our free company or ask questions, we give them the rundown and welcome them in. And of course, for those listening, if you're not in Final Fantasy 14, you can join us anytime in Midgard Stormer server. It's very easy to join our FC. You just go to azureinfinitum.com /pages/how to join, and or you can just click the join us button on the nav bar. We're fairly easy to join through whether it's Discord, website, in game. There is instructions everywhere, so all are welcome to join us. Even if you don't even play 14, you can join our community. But if you are in 14, you would like to join us in Midgard Stormer server, our doors are always open and applications are always being processed.
Our doors are always open, but Midgard Stormer's doors are currently closed.
Yes, that's actually a good point.
The server being congested again.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Azure may be open, but the Midgard pool is closed.
Hopefully, by the time this podcast ages a little bit, maybe the server will reopen, and
we can hope.
So
Maybe
those
by
hearing this
6.4,
message in the
see.
future will.
I was going to bring up, I'm hoping like 6.4 will do it, because they're redoing North American servers for 6.4.
They're doing
so we
that
got
with
that.
6.38 is when they're putting the new servers.
Yeah, they're putting the servers in, but
point 38
adjust it.
might fix the congestion, but we'll see. So overall, Azure Day weekend was a great success. We had a new mechanic this time during our Trivia Rush game that we play over in Sebastian's basement, where we have this little game show set up called Trivia Rush, where contestants can stand in these little lanes of squares, and we give out real fast trivia. You have 20 seconds to answer, and that rule is mainly so it's a little bit stressful for people who are trying to Google answers, and because, like I said, 20 seconds, so it goes by pretty quick. And of course, sometimes they're easy, and sometimes they're easy but kind of obscure, which also makes it hard to Google sometimes. So really depends on what it is, but as long as somebody types fast enough, they can move up a space.
Yeah, and the limit may be 20 seconds, but let me just tell you, you're not going to
get that.
Yeah.
Answers in if you wait the full 20 seconds.
There were people who answered literally as fast as light, like
if it's something Nora
Answers
knows,
were fast as lightning.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if it's something Nora knows, Nora gets something out in like 3 seconds.
But Kieran, if you're listening to this, Game respects game, bro. that was
holy crap. He like they are like holy crap amount of pass.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Oh,
mean, we
man.
had everything from, simple questions to, like, kind of medium-ish questions towards the end, because usually if someone starts getting close to the end, we'll like, just slightly turn up the volume on the difficulty, but not like too much, but just enough to where it's not, like, a super obvious answer. But yeah, it was fun. The new mechanic I mentioned, that would be the Tonberry mechanic, and it was a surprise leading up to the game. Previously, we had a Demon Wall mechanic because if you think Mario Kart, well, there's little boxes in the lanes, and once they reach one of those boxes, the box disappears. I remove it with the housing system, and then they have to basically roll the dice, and whatever dice roll they do will correspond to a sheet of random status effects or perks that the players can get. They can poison each other and stun each other. They can get question skips. There's all kinds of stuff. In one of our last games, since I have to mention this one more time just to tease him, Misty got the legendary Sword of Awesomeness, and which had the ability to immediately slay a demon wall should it appear. And but he took it, and so it's gone from the game. It's now in his personal collection at home, and we no longer have the Super Sword of Awesomeness, so we have to commission Godbert to make a new one. And the Demon Walls took a break. They went off on vacation somewhere in Costa del Sol. So there is a Tonberry hiding in the box now that slowly creeps towards our players, and we got to see that in action. I
have to ask, who was in the Tonberry costume?
No, actually, this was prior to the Tonberry. It was like a day or two before the Tonberry costume came out. So I actually had a physical Tonberry lamp item, and I would move it one square. Yeah, I would put it in the square in the lane, and it was moving one square at a time towards one of our really super new members, Lalka, I believe. Yeah. And
what was the Mumcore Keep? Is that the one with the Tonberry you can't kill that tries to murder you?
that is Wanderer's Palace.
Wanderer's Palace,
Yeah.
that's it.
Wanderer's Palace, yeah.
Amdapur keep.
Yeah,
Wait.
over in Outer Lenosha.
We may not have had the Tonberry glam that is so ready-made then, but Lagnus had a good Tonberry outfit queued up.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that.
Dancing around. He chose not to play the game and just chose to dance around on stage, being a little.
Yeah, he was being a little menace while playing Minecraft.
It was funny.
Love him.
We didn't have the Tonberry costume just yet because the event had started. The seasonal event, Hatching Tide, had not started just yet. But Lagnus did have a Tonberry themed outfit, like Nora said. And it's funny because it really you could look at the color scheme, and you were like, "That's a Tonberry," and him being a Lalafell. It was pretty good.
Should have just used him for the Tonberry instead of the
Yeah,
housing item.
we could have, but the housing item's got the knife out and it's shiny and it's coming towards them.
Oh my god!
So the Tonberry mechanic, real quick before we move on, the Tonberry mechanic, the way it worked was each time that a question was presented, if the person who has a Tonberry in front of them in their lane doesn't get it right or doesn't answer right first, the Tonberry moves towards them, and if it gets to them, it starts pushing them back slowly. And if it pushes them back too much, they will take enough damage to basically die and be removed. And if they do answer the question right while the Tonberry is in front of them, they do 1/4 damage in HP to the Tonberry. And so that's kind of how the Tonberry mechanic worked. Where the Demon Wall was this huge wall with the Demon Wall housing wall item, and it would push everybody back, so the whole party of players had to defeat it basically.
Oh man, fun times.
And now someone gave me ideas for the next
Azure
one.
Weekend. I'm sad I missed Azure Weekend, but it was Diablo open beta weekend, and so I no-lifed it.
Yep. Yeah, we figured and did actually see that there was a lot of people getting into
playing Diablo.
But
I wanted to come, but I was busy with work.
Do we have anybody else here that was playing the beta at all, or got a chance to spend some time with it?
I downloaded the beta, and I was gonna play it with Gracie and a couple other friends, only to discover that said other friends could actually run on their PCs. They didn't have bulky enough hardware.
Oh no. That's because it's not.
That was what we were going to stream Sunday instead of Fallout 76. So instead, we just went up doing Fallout and Wander the Wasteland.
Okay.
That's unfortunate.
How is
Diablo 4 was really good. Oh my god.
How is 76 these days?
Actually, really good.
Really? Did it get
It's
better
in a
at
good
all?
place.
It's okay. It's playable.
To be fair, y'all have a private server.
But we're also on a private server, so we're not dealing with the griefers also, which probably helps a lot.
Sounds like the way to go. Yeah.
Well, they also got rid of a lot of the legacy weapons that'll one-shot world bosses.
Mm-hmm.
So people like, oh, Earl's up. Let's one-shot Earl before anybody else can do anything. Doesn't happen as much even on public servers.
Yep.
Okay.
What the hell is Earl?
Earl is the second world boss. There was the
Earl.
Here's what Earl looks like.
Earl was just a dude who got trapped in a mine and got super irradiated and became a world boss.
Can you just blow up the mine and kill him?
No, you have to blow up the mine to let him out.
Oh,
to fight
okay.
him.
All right.
Oh, so it's like Copper Bell,
Basically,
Yeah.
Yeah.
where you're the baddies.
Yep.
So, Osh, you said you played Diablo 4 beta.
Oh yes, like
What-
no-lifed it all weekend.
What? Give us your impressions.
I think it took a lot of the stuff that like we missed from Diablo 2 and brought it back,
Uh-huh.
and it kept the handful of good things that were in Diablo 3 and brought them forward, like shared stashes and
Okay.
transmog and stuff.
Mhm.
And it being always online at first, I'm like, oh, that's gonna suck. It's always online, but it's always online because it's more of a like open world game as a service kind of game. So, like, there are world events that'll happen. Like, there's world bosses that'll spawn that are these giant bosses that take a bunch of people to take down. So you'll see people who aren't in your party in the world,
Okay.
which is really cool.
So-
You get more experience when you're
almost
near
looks like-
another player.
Interesting.
So it almost sounds like Lost Ark, actually, in that way.
Kind of, yeah, except good.
Okay.
Lana, have you heard this? I did not say it.
But no, it looks like it's in a good place. There were some issues, of course, because it's Blizzard and opening day pains, like always. There was a lot of like you got disconnected from the server. You'd be
What class did
laggy
you try?
sometimes. I've got 3 up to 25, but I got everything up to at least 15.
I want to
got-
try Druid, I think.
Druid was one of the ones I only got to 15. Druid's really slow at the start, but it's not bad. There's like I do elemental like lightning damage build. There's like you can be a werebear or a werewolf, and werebear is tanky, werewolf is fast and does like poison and stuff.
Makes sense.
How many classes are available in the beta?
5, I think. Right?
5?
All 5 classes that are going to be available at launch were available during the last beta.
And the beta's over
Yeah.
now?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was only
So-
for the
Okay,
weekend.
just the weekend? Okay.
If I remember correctly, it's Druid, Barbarian, Sorcerer, Thief, and what's the 5th one?
It's
Necromancer?
Druid, Barb, Necro, Rogue, and Sorcerer. Yeah,
That's it.
Was that the open or closed beta?
that was open.
Open. Oh,
That was
okay.
the last beta they're running until the
Okay.
game comes out.
I
'cause the
figured
game
it was
comes
the
out
open
June
one.
6th.
Yeah, because it's in June, and then the closed one I think was a little while prior.
Yeah.
It was a couple months ago, and then
Yeah,
there was like the early access open beta, which you could get if you'd either pre-ordered the game or bought a double down through the KFC app.
Oh yeah, the KFC. I forgot about that. Whatever happened to
Oh, yeah.
KFC's like gaming console they were teasing?
That was just a total joke. Like,
I am honestly annoyed. I wanted
Yeah.
that
No,
thing.
that is a legit thing. But
That is
they made
legit.
one, but
I'm not sure if it actually.
2 terabyte Barracuda SSD. God dang.
But there is an actual Colonel Sanders visual novel, though.
I have
That is
actually,
a real
Not
thing.
Talk about that game, please. Please, I beg you.
in my
There's
early
that,
days of streaming, like when I had like 20 followers, I love you, Colonel Sanders.
I really
So-
wish KFC could develop Colonel Sanders to be like a Godbert character.
I need to share
he
this
is.
briefly.
He is. He was in
Oh,
the.
no.
He's in DC comic books as basically
Yes.
a god.
Yes, he is. But hang on. So, talking about I love you, Colonel Sanders, a dating sim.
I thought you didn't want to talk about it.
No.
Yeah.
I need to. No. I need to tell this story. I need to tell this story at this point.
Okay,
Because she
okay.
said she's.
Okay, tell the story.
So, before I really started hanging out with you guys a lot, back in my early days in Azure, when COVID first started, my team lead at work hosted happy hours. Where we'd all just get on a Zoom call, hang out, drink, play video games together. And like we played stuff like Defiance when it was still active. We played Division 2. We played Destiny. We played all sorts of games. One night, she got really drunk. Like, I think there were 7 or 8 wine coolers involved. She's not a large woman either, so keep that in mind. This is a woman who is literally smaller than a stick.
This was a friend of yours?
No, this is my boss.
Oh, your boss. Oh, okay. Okay.
And she decides, this is back when you actually still had to pay for the game to buy everyone who was on the call at the time, it was like 5 of us, a copy of I Love You, Colonel Sanders, the dating sim. Gifted them to us, and we all then played it on the Zoom.
You tried to speed run it.
Here's the problem. We were all drunk at this point. We have been drinking for the last 4 hours complaining about work.
Too bad there's no, like,
And
co-op.
now we were trying to play this game, and it went exactly as you would think it would go, with 5 IT engineers drunk off their asses.
but did you win the heart of Colonel Sanders? And
We all lost. We all lost.
First one to get through without getting a bad end gets a bucket of cheese.
Exactly. No one didn't get a bad
at
end.
least a decent ending. Jeez.
That was funny because your mic kind of, like, cut out for a second, so you were like, bucket of chi.
I knew you, man.
Oh, my goodness.
Alright, sorry for the second door.
Welcome to KFC. Our chicken's so good that we cut out the mic of friends who even say the word chicken.
I actually had some KFC the other day. It's good. It's been a while. So,
I had to get it
Too
while
many
they were back.
local chicken places for us to ever get KFC.
KFC's too rich for my blood. Like a bucket of chicken's like $50 out here.
holy
It's kind
crap.
of ridiculous.
Luckily, our local one has a pretty good deal. Like, it's like $20 for like a 12-piece and 2 sides and biscuits and shit.
I remember I went with my kids just kind of on a lark. This was right before the pandemic. And it's like, hey, you guys want some KFC? And they're like, yeah, we haven't had it in a while. We got like 2 buckets, some stuff, and some stuff. And we pull up, and the guy's like, that's $139. And my kids look at me like, wow. So yeah, so ever since then, we were just like, yeah, KFC.
Is that a...
Yeah, the nationwide prices are crazy. Like, my friend up in Oregon, their food is usually cheaper than ours. And he's like, I was going to order like an 8-piece bucket, but they want like $35 for it.
Yeah.
I'm like, ah.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
too rich for my blood.
I was going to say our listeners might want to know where Way Out Here is.
Oh,
comfortable saying.
Southern California, yeah.
California.
I'm up in Seattle, where they don't mess around with the prices.
okay.
It's like The Sims. I equate Seattle with The Sims because like every time you do something, it's like cha-ching, the little dollar bill above your head.
Is this KFC like an arena or something? That's expensive.
I really want the KFC. I want to try that one KFC sandwich that they brought back. Like
The Double Down.
the double down. Yeah.
Yeah, they've
Yeah,
got
it's
some pretty good
just
sandwiches
two
in the
fried
past.
chicken breast with bacon, cheese, and mayo.
No
There's
bread.
no bun.
Only
There's no
chicken.
bun. The chicken, it's basically a bacon sandwich with fried chicken for a bun.
Azure Food
What?
Cast.
Yeah.
It just makes me wonder if it like has something to do with poultry like inflation or something currently, because that is just crazy.
No,
Yeah.
fast food in general has gotten stupid expensive.
No, it has.
Burger King-
Yeah, it has.
Burger King, I used to be able to walk in and walk out with like 2 Whoppers for like $8. Now it's like almost $10 for just a Whopper.
Yeah.
McDonald's dollar menu is now the $5 menu.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you want a McDouble? That's
horrible.
$3.50.
And the last time I went,
it's
I don't
crazy.
remember seeing anything that was 99 cents on the Taco Bell menu. I remember in the 90s,
Yep.
you used to get
Oh,
full
yeah.
of like $3 at Taco Bell.
The only thing they have that's even close to that is like the cheese roll up at $1. Like even their value menu is like $2.60 for like one of the cheap burritos out
Yep.
here now.
Yeah. Well,
Oh well.
I'm gonna say
Del
a hot
Taco's
take.
still doing alright.
Hippity hoppity, the
What's that, Sebastian?
Tonberry outfit is now my property.
I'm gonna say a hot take.
what's that?
KFC is probably the worst place you could ever buy chicken from. Like,
Oh, don't
even
disagree.
Whenever you take out the price, like even if it's like the cheapest there, there are still so many better options that it amazes me that KFC is still in business.
Yeah, that's why we don't ever get KFC, though I do take offense at the KFC is worst chicken, only because I've had churches.
Churches is actually really good. You went
depends
to a
on,
bad
I guess, your
location.
churches. Yeah.
Yeah, depends on where you are. The ones in Chicago
down
are
here-
50-50.
I don't
Because
even know
down
what
here,
a
churches is better than KFC.
If you are not in danger of being shot, mugged, or harassed, then you are in the wrong churches.
That is true.
Yeah,
The rougher
yeah.
the spot, the better the churches. Yep.
Ah, that makes
Oh
sense.
my god.
Same,
Now-
same
now that
thing.
one-
Same thing with Popeyes. If the person at Popeyes doesn't side eye you and give you like major lip the entire time you're ordering, you're not at the right Popeyes.
Exactly.
Oh,
They
is
all
this,
turn on
uh,
your order,
Scale
but-
Popeyes run.
So,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
But
was
you
just
did have a good point. I saw of it. Sorry, this is the last thing. You did have a good point on the KFC, but that's because they make 70 or 80% of their profits outside of the U.S., so it doesn't have to be good over here.
Yeah.
They sell a lot.
That is true, yeah.
Oh,
They're
they better
apparently
go to
like a
Japan.
really high-end establishment in places like China and Taiwan.
Yep.
about
In Japan for Christmas, they probably make enough money to keep their entire corporation afloat.
That
Like
is
you have
true.
to pre-order. You have to pre-order chicken in Japan from
Yeah,
KFC
that
for
is true.
Christmas.
well, yeah, it's a Christmas tradition over there. It like legit. It's a
Like,
Christmas tradition.
Chinese food for Jews in America.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I consider myself a bit of an international person, someone who's generally up on other cultures and everything. I just find that wild. Like, KFC for Christmas? All right, Japan. Cool.
Yeah.
There's a whole story
It's-
behind it. There's like an entire
Yeah, they
history.
started like a major. They started like just a major like commercial push around Christmas to the point where like this is what you should do,
No,
and then eventually it's like yeah, that's what's happening.
there's it goes deeper than that. Don't even get me started on KFC lore. Like it goes way back. It goes way back. Like
Reika,
I
tell
don't-
me the lore
I don't
of
remember
the-
it off the top of my head, but I did read an article that
Oh, thank
talked
God, we're
about like
safe.
Colonel Sanders went to Japan and did some kind of event like a long time ago, and it's just long. It's a long story.
Reika,
Definitely
tell me the lore of the
not this time.
Colonel
Not this
Sanders
time.
statue.
We'll talk about food lore next time. But if
Yeah,
you
we
listen
don't
to the
need this
podcast,
podcast to be 5
Um,
hours.
yeah, we have a live letter to talk about, some other stuff. But if you're listening, go and Google the story of how KFC became a tradition in Japan. It's a very interesting story. I mean, because today it is humongous. I mean, they even have Colonel Sanders statues outside of the restaurants that they decorate like Santa Claus and everything.
Oh my god.
Like they get really into it. And the
They
commercials
basically
are
got
great,
cigar
too.
store Indians. They've got like cigar store Indians that are just KFC that are just out there year round. Like
What the hell?
So,
Yeah. They're crazy huge in India.
I know that a lot of us have thoughts on the E3 cancellation that we were talking about just prior to the podcast. Let's take some turns sharing those thoughts, and then I'll go last after everybody because I have kind of a different take on it.
I guess I'll go first.
Yeah.
I don't care that it's canceled. It's been going downhill for years. We've got multiple different smaller things. Like we've got packs for that kind of thing now, so we don't need
When you say downhill,
E3.
what do you mean exactly?
Attendance, like when it used to be like a small thing, like they put in a bunch of work when it was like mostly industry.
You're talking like the 90s, early 2000s,
Yeah, like 90s, early 2000s.
right?
Since then, like they still do big events. Like they still have like that walk through Hyrule Castle they had around the time Breath of the Wild was coming out. Like they had a bunch of stuff, and it's still cool. But like a lot of people have been pulling out, especially because like nowadays with the internet and everything, you don't need E3 to drop your big trailer.
Right. That's extremely understandable.
Like they've got like mailing lists and YouTube and Twitch live streams and stuff. So like physical attendance was going down. So the quality of displays was going down. And it's like,
Okay.
I'm sad it's gone because like it's an institution. Like it's one of those things. It's like, oh, I'd be sad if they canceled Family Guy, but I don't care about Family Guy anymore. Like I'm sad it got canceled, but whatever. Like,
Do you think that they will have it again? Because they said 2023 is canceled. They might try again.
yeah, they've been talking about moving to a once every other year schedule for a while now, so that might be what's happening. But like the second Ubisoft is like, we're not going to be there. That was like the death knell for E3 this year.
Well, yeah, they were basically the last bastion of big game publishers, I think, if I
Yeah.
remember correctly.
Yeah, like they were the last AAA studio out there that was like actually trying to push for E3, and now they're like, we're not going to go. So E3's like, crap.
All right, who else?
My opinion on it is somewhat mixed. I kind of agree with Osh in that there's a lot of other avenues that people have taken to advertise, and especially we're kind of in an era of essentially shadow dropping and shadow marketing, of where a lot of games will just say, hey, we're coming out, here's what it looks like, oh, by the way, we're coming out tomorrow, or actually it's out now, or actually when this trailer dropped, the game was already out, you just didn't know about it. Like, so we're kind of an era of that, and we're not really in and then as well, we're also in a weird era of where big AAA publishers like Bethesda are announcing a game before it's even started development. Elder Scrolls 6.
Oh my
God. Starfield.
So it's
Cyberpunk.
Yeah, so it's kind of like we're in a weird state. That said, there is also like the Steam Next Fest for indies. Major publishers, especially Nintendo, surprisingly enough, have become really friendly towards indies. They've been trying to push them on their platform, so the exposure that an indie developer would get by going to E3 has kind of been minimalized by it not happening. But I am going to miss it because I always did enjoy watching the live fumbles and reactions and the world exclusive trailer premiere.
Oh, who doesn't love that
and
part?
then going on YouTube a couple days later and watching the supercut cringe compilations.
Yeah.
Oh,
hey, I remember that.
You know what? For like the past 10 years, I
just wanted to say, since you mentioned the world premieres, that's a really good point. There is a lot of other shows now too, and I don't know if everybody's aware of it, but there's things like Summer Games Fest. There are actually award shows, like even at Game Awards, where they do world premieres. So these world premieres are now spread out across like many different shows.
Yeah, exactly. Like what happened at E3 is now at like either a publisher specific event, like at the Nintendo Directs, or it's just like anything like that. So it's kind of spread about.
Okay.
But yeah, that's all my thought.
All right.
I was gonna say, back in the day, we had to wait for like video game magazines and news
like
groups.
Xbox Mag.
Oh, of course,
EGM and GameSpot and all that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I was going to say, you guys have pretty much touched on it. It's all about the dissemination, because, like you said, back then things were more spaced out. You had to wait for your issues of the whatever magazine you enjoyed. EGM, my personal favorite. That's the GOAT video game magazine to me. But also, this is also something that's kind of lacking, and also kind of accentuated it. We had more like personalities in gaming as far as journalism, even up to maybe about 10 years ago. So it was cool to not only to watch it and to follow it, and watch those cringe compilations, and scroll down whatever your favorite gaming site was, and just read all the stuff. But there was also like some personality to the gaming media, so you got to hear kind of like your favorite gaming journalist take on everything. Especially, I'm thinking specifically about EGM, because like the review crew and all that kind of stuff. So it was cool to hear like their perspective of it back then.
Also, you had G4.
G4 was another good example too. Yeah. So that element of it is kind of missing as well. Like the gaming journalism kind of doesn't hold up to it.
I see where you're coming from. That's definitely an interesting take too. So you feel like there is less unique personalities in games journalism right now?
Yeah, that's kind of tied up to it, because sitting here thinking about it, all of my good memories of E3 are from like the 90s and like early 2000s, when there were fewer. The numbers were definitely swelling and multiplying as far as like outlets for giving this information. But that was kind of the beginning of the end of there being like less personality in the media, and so like all my good memories of E3, I remember reading in EGM and stuff like that, and hearing their hot take as they were delivering like the actual objective news too. So
yeah, because back then they were like, oh, we've got this magazine and this magazine and this magazine, and each magazine had like 4 writers. So you're like, oh, I want this person's take on it, I want this person's take on it. And nowadays, like, there's just so many gaming blogs, and everybody can write for IGN, basically, and everybody can write for Kotaku. So there's, like, very few names out there still doing reviews. Like, we've got, like, Bashcroft, I guess. Like, that's the only one I can think of off the top of my head that's still in the game.
Yeah, and it's kind of been spread around, too, because most people do catch their news on YouTube or places like that. So
I totally get where you guys are coming from, but I'm just sitting here thinking of my contacts and friends, and I'm just like, there are so many. many, but I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So that's my take on it. I'm sad to see it go as a tradition,
Especially
like
for like you were saying, G4. That was a great example because G4 had a huge audience. That's TV, which is also like it reaches a whole different amount of people than folks that were online, and especially G4 was at a time where that could still get a lot of people who weren't following the internet, on a regular basis. Internet websites for gaming sites and stuff like that. So yeah, that's definitely a good point.
Yeah. So I'm sad to see it go as a tradition, like Ash was touching on, but my theory is it'll come back as a brand, and they'll just have like an E3 week, and then people will just show their trailers that way. And it might not be as big of a convention. It'll be more like a brand that's kind of spread out across like a smaller convention and videos and just marketing and stuff. So I think it'll return in some form, but just not fully how we would think.
I had
of it
a
now.
similar thought to that. Yeah.
Recently, most like announcements and exclusives that haven't been done during, like was mentioned, like Nintendo Directs or Sony's State of Play or whatever. A lot of those have been happening at PAX, not E3.
Yeah.
So like,
okay,
E3's been on the back foot for a while now.
So
I think it's the fact that E3 tried to become a convention and not a professional conference is really what.
Yeah, and then them flip flopping back and forth over the course of its lifetime.
Exactly. Like E3 originally wasn't even just video games either. It was the Electronic Entertainment Expo. It was supposed to be a professional conference.
Yep, that's how I got
media outlets, for video game companies, for groups like Machinima back when they first became big, to come together, share their stuff, bring new ideas together, show off their newest thing to their competitors, one up the competition in front of the news outlets, and then they started opening to the general public and trying to turn it into an actual convention versus like an industry show like Forge Fair
or CES.
Exactly, and the problem is you're taking something that was meant to be a professional showcase and you're turning it into its own entertainment form. You lose a lot of the people who are coming there for the professional showcase portion of it. And you're competing with other events that already take up that niche, like PAX does, State of Comic-Con does, State of Play, exactly.
Well,
GDC.
That they did split the days. They had days where it was industry only, and then they had.
And again, I understand the problem is that they started splitting in general.
Okay.
I think their first mistake. Okay. And the fact that they opened it to the public as a convention, I think, was their mistake.
Okay.
Because their whole claim to fame was the fact that they were the premier professional show in this industry.
Okay.
And I think when they started taking that away from their branding, is when they started to lose the big names.
Yeah, because if you look at the GDC, it's still going strong.
Oh yeah,
it's not going anywhere.
Yep.
Yeah. Like
I do kind of want to just add a point to that they did open. For the longest time it was industry, and then as like YouTube started to grow, they started inviting YouTube and streamers. But it was already kind of like when most of the major companies were kind of iffing around it, and Nintendo had already pulled out. That is when they really opened it to the public. So
yeah.
Okay.
No, I know that was a business decision to try to save the event, but it just feels like it diluted it also.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to weigh in on E3?
Sure. So yeah, I think my thoughts have largely been said, but like just as a casual game consumer, I enjoyed E3 week, watching all of the highlights on YouTube, like Seba mentioned, and I'm not sure I ever really got into the cringe series, to be honest. But
they're
all
so
of the memes, seeing all the trailers, yeah, that was fun. But there's so much more now for it, and like we don't just have 1 week out of the year. We have all these other things. Like just a few episodes ago, we talked about the Game Awards and things that were going on during that.
Yeah,
we have Sony's State of Play every now and again. We have Nintendo Directs whenever they feel like having those. Like we don't it may not be a big thing that we can travel to in Vegas anymore. But honestly, Vegas is kind of overrated.
I don't
Okay.
know.
See, you're just saying that because of the time that we got raided by the Homeland Security agents at what's it called?
DEFCON?
DEFCON.
Yeah, DEFCON.
I mean,
What?
to be fair, it was DEFCON. So.
Yeah. If they're gonna raid any nerd event, DEF CON's the one. Like,
Yeah.
Multiple times that weekend, I will add. Multiple times.
I mean,
mm.
yes.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
DEFCON's interesting.
That reminds
Okay,
me.
we'll come back later.
Takes me back to a time I was on a train going by Reno, and no, it was Salt Lake City. That's right. We were in between Nevada and Salt Lake City, coming across the border into Utah, and a whole bunch of government agents stopped our train out in the desert, and it was because Obama was in Salt Lake City, and they were checking that far away for anything coming into town, and the entire it was when the Democratic National Convention was going on, Salt Lake, 2008, and so it was like right then, and it was kind of terrifying for a minute, but I wasn't like really afraid of them personally. I wasn't doing anything wrong, but it was like we didn't know what was going on at first, but it just reminded me of that. I don't know why. It's not exactly Vegas, but semi close on the map.
I'm not gonna lie. I would be excited to see E3 again.
Mhm.
However, I do miss it. Like, but I also watch a lot of State of Play or Nintendo Directs when they come out.
Yeah.
Like, that's one thing that I really wanted to do at one point was to like watch it with like my chat or something.
Mhm.
Like, like some other people do, where you just like react to it.
Okay.
Because I want to see like, I always want to keep an eye on like what games are coming out, what's like new. Are we going to actually get Elder Scrolls 6? Cough, cough, Bethesda, cough, cough.
Probably after Starfield, whenever that's done.
we do finally have Starfield release date. It's finally coming, y'all.
It got delayed again.
God damn it.
Let's see which finishes first. If it's going to be Elder Scrolls 6 or Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3.
Ooh.
Listen, Misty, I know it's almost April Fool's Day here, but you can't be starting this on me.
Wait.
I wish I was joking. They announced it last week.
I have a better game to play. Okay, so which will come out first? Elder Scrolls 7 or Final Fantasy X-3?
Oh.
Let's go!
Elder Scrolls 7. Oh my god. Well, given the fact that they spend close to 15 years in between Elder Scrolls games.
I meant 6, not 7.
Oh, 6. Oh, okay.
Well, I'm not expecting to see Final Fantasy Remake Part 3 until at least the PS6.
10
Yeah,
to
they
3
like to
though.
do that.
You know what's funny? There's content made for 10.3, very little, but it exists. Elder Scrolls 7, nothing. So I'd say 10.3 was more likely, because 7 Remake Part 3 should be a couple years after Part 2, and Part 2 is a little closer to coming out. We've at least seen what it looks like. I think next year we're gonna, by next year we're gonna probably have a lot more information if it's not out next year, and then give it a few years after that. And then they had said, well, once Kingdom Hearts 4 and the rest of 7 is done, they really want to start looking into 10.3. So they said everybody at the office is constantly bringing it up, and Nomura already made a few pieces of art. Kind of depicting, Yuna with longer hair and Tidus with a slightly different haircut, and there's a little bit of a bio made for kind of what's going on after 10.2, and the 10.2.5 novel it kind of sets up 10.3. So there's a lot of 10.3 info you can actually look up now, nice. Including a few interviews, kind of about where their thoughts are at right now. But it does exist, and the general idea that I've seen very loosely thrown around in some interviews is Tidus and Yuna broke up. Yuna is like leading the government. Tidus is a Blitzball player, and I think there's Arin's daughter is uniting the heroes to fight
Bird has
against
a daughter?
the return of Sin. Yeah, he had a secret daughter, and
Secret
Sin's coming back
daughter.
because the far plane is collapsing into reality, causing like all these like dead like villains to come back or something like that.
Oh my
It's
god,
gonna be like
is that
really
his
insane.
teamwork's coming
So,
back? I don't want to see that guy's ass again.
you know what? I wouldn't doubt it if Seymour came back because of that, and he's probably, you know, he might come back and be like a real villain this time instead of just kind of,
I would,
you know.
I would throw hands.
He gets
I would throw hands.
he gets represented as a villain a lot for 10, and I'm just like, I don't know, like, he was
likes the
just
thing that
kind of
never dies
a
and
weird
goes away.
dude that wanted to marry Yuna, and is just kind of in your way, and you know, has these 4 or 5 different
Yeah.
boss fights. But it's
But he
really
also-
Sin and Yu Yevon that's the enemy. But
But didn't he just like screw over the Guado?
He tried to
Oh, yeah.
basically
yeah,
he tried to like take control of the far plane.
he was
tried
he was a
to-
psychopath. Yeah, he killed his mom, turned her into a primal, and
Yeah.
then, you know, basically
Sloppy.
betrayed his entire race and everything. Yeah.
Sloppy.
Okay, so back to E3. Let me give you guys my take. I started with Sony Press back in 2011, and after, you know, going to the show a number of times, working on different parts of the show, whether it was programming or live stream tech setup, all that fun stuff. And then also being in the convention industry since 2004, you know, expos galore throughout the years, whether it was press or like I said, programming, things like that. I have always viewed E3 as a convention. Even before it was public, it still felt like a convention to me. It definitely is an expo, which to me a con and an expo feel a little bit different. An expo to me feels more like there's things that are on display for people to check out and announcements that are made, and you know, there's a bit more like professional interviewing going on and things like that. Cons is just kind of like one big party with guests and stuff to buy and stuff like that. So to me, I did see it as an expo, but I did see it as more of a convention in the 2010s. I want to put it that way. In the 2010s E3s. Presented, you know, the final years of the PS3, Xbox 360 era, and of course the start of the PS4, Xbox One era, and these shows, they just kept getting bigger and bigger, and not only did we start to see things like migrate out of the normal E3 area down there, but the Los Angeles Convention Center, but these other big publishers, Ubisoft, PlayStation. I'm just thinking of all the top of my head. Microsoft does the Microsoft Theater. PlayStation moves around their venue usually. Ubisoft is usually always at the Orpheum Theater. There's a whole number of press conferences. There's even smaller ones like Devolver Digital's, which is always amazing. If you've ever watched those, they are hilarious.
Devolver is great.
Comedy gold.
Yeah.
Press conferences.
They know what they're doing over there.
Yeah. But aside from that, you'd have EA that would not only have their own press conference, but they'd set up this like mini convention of their own off to the side called EA Play, and you know, there was all kinds of things to see and do. You know, that's where Jedi Fallen Order was actually announced by a guy in a lawn chair that just kind of turned over to the camera and was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, we got Jedi Fallen Order coming out," and nobody had heard of it prior. It just shocked the entire like world. Like, what is this? You know, and that was a really funny year.
Great game too.
But by the height of E3, that I feel was kind of in that 2018, 2019, maybe 2019, but 2018, 2017, 2016. Those were some really good years that I had with the event, and I just noticed that it was just growing and growing and growing. And the thing I was worried about was a collapse. And funny enough, it was a pandemic that kind of ushered that in the most brutal way. And a lot of cons have had a lot of issues throughout the world. And I know some of our local events have been trying a million different things to innovate, find ways to hold events outside of the normal schedules. Sometimes it's everything it's everything from a small meet and greet with some merch to a venue that's just for like swap meet stuff, whatever they can to raise money during the pandemic, because it was just so rough. And then of course you've got not only the danger of the virus, but the restrictions that the government puts in. So no matter how unsafe you want to be by going, if you were to want to have, gone and not cared about the restrictions are still there. So they legally would have to like enforce, COVID restrictions on people, of course.
Yep.
But there was so many different variables. Is what I'm getting at. There were challenges for conventions. So E3 to me is an expo that became a convention / expo, and to me was more of a convention, but also a lot of things at one time. And that week is always really crazy. And then of course, down in LA, it feels like a month-long party because you've not only got E3, you've got Anime Expo right after it. So there's a lot of people down there that would just stay, and the people that would press or do coverage for AX or be a part of AX or staff for AX, whatever, or people that would work security, they'd sign up to the same security organizations, and they would just work both. And so it was like one big party every year down there for a month, and it was like a dream, to be honest. I think we're going to slowly ease back into that as far as E3 goes in general. So the ESA, I believe that's the organization that owns the brand or oversees the event. They've been giving one update at a time pretty much every time that a publisher would pull out. And I think the thing that started tipping the scales was when Nintendo pulled out years ago to do directs, and they would see, well, we're getting way more views on the Nintendo Direct, and it's also accessible on the console and everything, and the other publishers were like, oh, we're still going to put up these shows, and Sony was doing these grand displays where they had performances going on just to announce, like you're there with like actors and performers playing the music of this new game that was going to get announced, and just all kinds of theatrics and stuff, which I always loved.
Didn't Ubisoft literally have Cirque du Soleil one year?
Yes, if I remember correctly. Yeah, yep.
It was either Cirque du Soleil or something equivalent to it. Yeah.
I think a bit of what everybody here has shared is all the seasoning that has gone into E3. You got the guests, you've got the journalism personalities, you've got actors and stuff that would show up. You've got the fact that there's 1 million people and it's a good time. It was a big social gathering, and then at the same time an industry gathering, and then just everybody coming together like that. That's what I worry about with everything that's digital today. Like, I worry about the loss of socializing with people and experiencing those moments together, because I'll tell you, it is chill-inducing and extremely fun and full of hype to watch those world premieres at the digital streams of the press conferences, but also being there is a whole other thing. And it's kind of like I'm afraid. I think what is at the core of everybody's fear / sorrow for seeing it go away, if it goes away all the way, I think the core of that is just the loss of those moments. Those really exciting moments, even though like Sebastian was saying, they can shadow drop stuff and, oh, what, it's out today, that's awesome, but then at the same time it's like, well, where do we go to replace those social moments? Are we in communities online where we can do watch parties like we do in Azure? I mean, that's still a way to share with people, but that human connection is just irreplaceable to me. So I think my take is kind of like a little bit affected by the fact that I'm an attendee, or have worked there, and on top of that, it's just. Like, I saw the news and I was just like, darn it, I was really hoping this wouldn't happen. I mean, there's everybody out there, from folks who think, oh, it's not necessary anymore, we don't need it, I'd rather just watch a state of play or something, and that's fine, that's preference, but my other thing was, well, I do the same thing with FanFest for Final Fantasy 14. I think of the statistics because I know how cons work, and I always go, well, why did they pick that venue? You know, because it drives me crazy with FanFest. They pick a venue that barely holds 2,000 people for an online game that has 30 million, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? You know, why not? Do they not want more money, or do they just, or can Square just not handle a larger event? I mean, there's groups that I know of that they could partner with that could help them run that. And venues that they could get that I know would be cheaper than Vegas and still be great quality and have more room. I mean, heck, the 2018 year, I think that was the FanFest outrage with the ticket thing that happened that pissed off a lot of people. That same year, they rented out I think it was San Diego or LA? I think it was San Diego. They rented out a venue in San Diego that was enormous, and for a Brave Exvius FanFest, the same year as the 2018 FanFest that had the ticket outrage. And I'm like, well, why? Like, the mobile game gets the massive venue that fits 230,000 people, and the MMO with 30 million people gets this venue with 2,000, like with a really small occupancy limit, like.
And I think that. Happening again, like people found out that Las Vegas Convention Center, the space they got is capped at 15, and people are like, this game is more popular than ever. And there's so many people who want to go. Like, look at all the folks you just look at the feeds on Twitter or anywhere else, just about, even in game, people are like, darn, I really wanted to go, but tickets sold out after like 5 seconds of me you know, trying to pre-order.
Yeah, me and Nora tried to get in there, but we couldn't.
I think I only know of 3 people in all of Azure that actually secured tickets.
And there's people who are totally willing to go and wanting to go and you know they can save up for it, or they don't mind buying it or whatever. I mean, it's like there's so much demand is what I'm saying for what they're providing. It just doesn't make sense to me why they're still doing these small fan fests, and it is small compared to conventions. I mean, I work at events that have 40 to 120,000 people. Plus, San Diego Comic-Con is 230,000 over a 5-day period. And
bare minimum.
And fun fact, I probably told some of you guys this before. I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast before, but San Diego Comic-Con generates enough money in those 5 days that could pay for the entire city of San Diego to have power for a year. That's how much money it generates in 5 days.
It's insane.
So much.
Yeah, it's insane. San Diego Comic-Con. And so, I mean, I'm not saying FanFest could do that. I'm just saying that there are groups out there Square could work with to get a better venue and, you know, provide more access to everybody that wants to go. So I know we're talking about E3, but looking at the FanFest dilemmas and thinking about E3's current dilemmas, well, so we have cons that don't have big publishers, but they bring in a lot of people, and there are cons that we have that are also gaming events too, or partially gaming, partially anime or whatever, pop culture events. My recipe for E3 to continue would be to turn it more into a convention. So take what they have now, and we have to accept the fact that it's not going to be that exclusive industry party at Gatsby's style thing anymore. It needs to become more of a convention, allow more people in, and maintain its venue down in LA, because trust me, there are hundreds of businesses that prepare for this every year. There's so much more than just what's going on at the LA Convention Center during E3. There's, parties, raves, restaurants doing, specials. There's arcades that are doing E3 events with industry people at those too, doing talks and specials. I mean, it's crazy down there. And
the lounges when they pop up, but those are invite only.
Yeah, but they can maintain this without having those things. And then guess what they could do? Guess what's free? I can do it from my bedroom. We can all do it. Turn on YouTube and put the literal stream from the publishers up on a screen. You don't have a press conference with a guy on stage, but you do have a stream up that's showing the same thing. And so play that during the con. Like we have little theater rooms at cons that play anime. Why can't we put it on the program that everybody goes to the theater to watch the whatever stream, PlayStation's world premieres are at this time on the program guide. They really should consider making it more of a convention that also streams the publisher's videos, and then also has a massive convention, and then takes over LA for a week or whatever. I really think if they put their effort into it. But what doesn't help, and I was talking about this on Twitter, what does not help is everybody in the entire world, from attendees to gamers to whoever, to all the journalism people, all of the personalities out there, even my dear comrades. What doesn't help is all of us accepting that it's dead. That is like the worst thing, because all I see is it's dead, it's dead, it's dead, it's dead, it died, it's dead. And I'm like, no guys, like we need to like encourage them to continue to hold this event for gamers, for fans. It's something big that we still should promote. We can save E3. I really believe it. But with everybody having that attitude of like, oh, it's not needed anymore, we can just watch a stream at home by ourselves and be antisocial. And I'm like, there's so much that can be saved. But that's just my take as somebody that has worked in expos for 18 years.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that E3 was an expo. I thought it was just a stream thing, like State of Play.
Oh no, there's a big show.
No, it's
all
huge.
kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Like I said, they set up that like entire replica of Hyrule Castle to go through for like Skyward Sword.
I mean, no, they
did demos. When they did demos for one of the Alien games, they put you in like a pod that had like speakers at the front and the back, and like the screen in front of you, and like misters for when the alien was. It was fucking crazy. Like the stuff they can do with an in-person experience is phenomenal.
Oh yeah, it's like Disneyland for gamers. I mean, there's Assassin's Creed parkour course. There's I mean, there's just so many things I could think of. And like I said, it's not just the convention center area. It's like other parts nearby. There's like hotels. There's Bethesda Land that they made. There was God, I'm just thinking, the EA Play complex is massive, and it's just absolutely insane, how much gets set up during that week. And I don't know, I don't, like, darn it, I don't want to see it all go away.
Yeah, I feel ya. Yeah. I've only been to E3 once, and it was back in like 2005 or 6.
2005? Okay.
Like around 2005 or 2006, and it was just awesome. Like the entire experience, just like getting like pulled in, like hanging out at a booth for a little bit, trying out a demo, hitting it off with one of the reps, and be like, "Here's a pass to our VIP room," and you just go and just drink, like. Yeah, drink and talk video games with like devs.
I was gonna say, if you've been in any of those VIP rooms, I mean, off the top of my head, I've been in a situation where we literally had 3 people that you didn't expect to see at the same time: Snoop Dogg, Tobuscus, and Conan O'Brien at the same table. At the same table. It's like, what?
Snoop has been going to like video game conventions for a long time.
Oh, and what's his name? Oh my God, it's on the tip of my tongue. I'm sure you guys know. The guy that made Spawn. What's his name?
I don't remember.
Todd
McFarlane. Yeah. Right there.
Also, one of the best Spider-Man artists ever, too.
Yeah. Yep. Did you know? Didn't he work on Kingdoms of Amalur? Because I remember that year we were doing. We had a table for autographs, but I don't know. It was something. Maybe it was something else.
Which one?
I know.
Kingdoms of Amalur, yeah.
Oh yeah, that was the Kurt Schilling game.
Well, didn't that game?
Oh, that game has a long story.
Yeah, it does.
Like the development has a long story.
Yeah. It was actually pretty. It was actually a pretty decent game to come out of like nowhere.
It nearly bankrupted the state of Rhode Island.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a crazy story. It's a crazy story. That one. Oh my God! I'm just thinking back to there was a moment where who here knows that story real quick, because it's kind of entertaining, and we'll get on to the next thing.
The full story.
You know the full story?
Yep.
Okay. Long story short, for those listening. Kingdoms of Amalur is it's a third-person role-playing game that had multiple like really talented creators that worked on it. Todd McFarlane, somebody that worked on Morrowind was involved too. I can't remember the rest of the great names that are in that. But the reason why it was kind of a one-shot, and then it was supposed to have an MMO and a sequel as well. It was developed by Big Huge Games, which was a subsidiary of E3. Or not E3, EA. We're talking about E3, so I said E3. A subsidiary of Electronic Arts. And basically, the long story short is that one of the guys that I think was the leader, was it the leader of Big Huge Games? He was a baseball player who...
Curt Schilling, Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Played for the Padres, I want to say.
Yeah. And he, what was it? He took out like too many, he borrowed too much money or something like that for development. And then basically it affected the whole state. And then by the end of it, it ended with people saying, the whole building was owned by the people, and they just let people come in and take whatever they want. And just citizens like raided the building, and people were like taking office supplies and all chairs and like all kinds of stuff. Yeah. And then EA just shut down that whole operation, and then the IP was floating around in like courtroom hell for like 10 years or something like that. If I remember correctly, that's what happened.
Yeah. It cost a lot of money over a lot of time, and there was some other stuff that came out of it and spun out of it, but yeah, it was pretty much a huge scandal. It had made like mainstream news for a long time.
It's a good game too.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was really
he
solid.
spent a lot of money hiring top talent, but then just really wasn't around to kind of guide them, so they spun in the mud they spin the tires in the mud essentially for the longest of time.
Yeah. So
I
crazy.
have a feeling that the game may have been great if they wouldn't have just like completely messed it up.
Yeah, the IP was floating on for a while. Funny thing was, it happened around the same time, or pretty close to the time that THQ went down. And THQ, I don't think the citizens rated THQ like they did Big Huge Games, but I do remember the old, I think it was the old CEO of THQ. They were all getting kicked out of their office, and if you remember, THQ helped publish Saints Row 3, not 4. 4 was Deep Silver after the IP sold. But the funny thing was, one of my favorite stories about THQ was that before it went down, and I know that there's a part of THQ Nordic, I think, that exists still today, but the original THQ, as it was going down, the CEO grabbed a real life replica of like the dildo bat from Saints Row and like ran down the street with it, like screaming, like as they closed it.
Yeah,
like, that's the last sight of THQ.
Yeah, I think THQ Nordic still does exist under Embracer Group. They've been buying up IPs very recently.
Yeah, they bought Nordic. Nordic is the only part of THQ that still exists, as far as I'm aware.
THQ Nordic.
But it does also have a vast majority of THQ's library underneath. It's actually kind of funny because outside of some of the licensed games and the others that they partially worked on, Embracer Group pretty much owns everything that THQ ever published. It's really refreshing to see them go back and slowly remaster all of the old titles and bring them out for modern audiences.
Yeah. Highly agree. I got kind of worried because, like, there were some good IPs floating around at that time. This was about 2011, 2012 era. We had Red Faction. We had no idea what the future of Red Faction was going to be for many years. Yeah. And games like that. Excuse me. So
that game, Misty.
Oh man, Armageddon was insane.
Yes.
I don't even know what I think I have a Red Faction game, but I've never played it.
Wasn't it one of the first that really had a fully destructible environment?
Oh yeah,
pretty early on. Yeah,
the big thing.
That was a selling point for sure.
I can't remember what game it was.
PS2 had destructible environment, and it was huge at the time.
Yeah, I think there was some comparison going around between Battlefield 2042 when it first launched, and then somebody was playing one of the Red Faction games, and they're like, "Look at this game from like 2005. It's got better destruction than this game from like 2022."
Yep.
Yeah, and it was just like cutting back and forth between scenes. Look at this wall you can destroy versus this wall that you can quote unquote destroy. Yeah, but they were using Red Faction against Battlefield 2042.
That's funny. Yeah, they just gave out 2042 on PS Plus, and I heard that it's improved a bit, but I don't know if it's too late or not, because it's been a while now.
I mean, they're making a little bit of a comeback,
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be serviceable for a while, and it'll only improve over time. The last few Battlefield launches have been relatively rough as well. Nowhere near as rough as 2042, but they managed to turn those around as well. So
right now we're over an hour already. This is flown by pretty quick. But I do want to just kind of read down the 6.4 information, and because we are getting a part 2 live letter in a couple weeks, we're gonna be we can spend that next podcast really delving into all of our predictions and talking a lot more about it. But since we do have that information today available for this episode, I figured we can just read down this list I made this morning. So interesting. Patch 6.4 Final Fantasy 14 is releasing late May. I think we talked one of our previous podcasts. We were predicting early May or late April. We were hoping for late April, but it's late May. So that kind of gives you an idea that they are really they're really pushing this out for right now. But I did notice that this is about a month and a half longer, I think, if I remember correctly.
Patch
then
6.3 dropped right at
between
the beginning
6.2
of
and
the
3.
year.
Yeah, January 10th was 6.3. So between 6.3 and 6.4 is pretty much close to a 6-month wait. It's over 5.5 months long wait. Yoshi did talk a lot this morning about the amount of traveling he's doing this year. He's wrapped up production on 16. He has a ton of stuff going on. There's press tours, 3 fan fests coming up. Quite a lot of stuff. He even commented on E3 as well this morning, saying that it was a pity. He pitied it. He pitied that it was canceled, but said that even if it wasn't, he wouldn't have had time this year. And that's a big thing too. That tells you that Square Enix was thinking about pulling out, because they always have a Square Enix live show that they run during E3, even from the show, and even do live letters from E3 as they have done in the past. So they weren't even going to do that this year anyway, whether it was out or not, or I mean uncanceled or not. So late May. That my first reaction was like, well, that's going to be a little bit of a slog up to the next patch. But I mean, there is stuff to do at the same time. I mean, some people got that whole there's nothing to do vibe, and I can never agree with that.
I still haven't cleared EX5, so let's go.
I'm still busy. Everything.
Yeah, but late May was a surprise to me, because I was expecting, I was like, well, if they announced May, it's got to be early May. I didn't think late May. But if it's late May, there's only 2 dates that we can predict that's late May, and that's the 23rd or the 30th, because we know that patches come out on the beginning of server week always, and that's a Tuesday. So it's gonna be either Tuesday May 23rd or Tuesday May 30th. Coming with patch 6.4 is Tataru's Grand Endeavor. That's going to continue the story involving some characters from Shadowbringers. When 6.45 comes out, which we can usually expect to be probably about within 2 months, I hope, maybe.
Yeah, after. They said 8 weeks.
Oh,
yeah,
8 weeks. Oh, well, that's 2 months.
So, 2 months.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so 2 months. That's going to be the next relic step. So that actually puts our next relic step in like July or August.
That's when we get our new variant criteria dungeon.
Let's go.
Yep. Splendorous Tools will be out in 6.45, July or August. Then back to the May release for late May release for 6.4. It is titled The Dark Throne. The Dark Throne. So no major spoilers here. But the new dungeon, which we have no idea what this means, so it's not a spoiler. It's called the Ether Font, and it looked very beautiful. It was an area in Old Charleon. Looks like there's a bunch of Charleon buildings with a big pool of ether like coming up out of the ground, like font, like a fountain. Very, very beautiful looking dungeon. It's a very outsidey dungeon. Looks like new trials coming.
Yes.
Mainly the Voidcast Dice or Dace.
Deus.
Yes, Deus, yeah.
Deus?
Deus.
Deus?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Deus.
Voidcast Deus is the normal and extreme will be releasing with patch 6.4.
I have thoughts about what that means for 6.5.
The boss? Do we want to say who the boss is?
Spoilers.
Okay.
I think everyone kind of knows
Okay,
who the boss is going to be.
The boss, if you
We'll-
haven't...
we'll say spoilers.
Okay.
Like, expect spoilers from here on, guys.
Expect some spoilers. Yeah, so we're at the end of the podcast, so we're just going to go ahead and give the spoiler warning. If you're listening, this is your warning. Spoiler warning. The boss is Golbez from Final Fantasy IV. Golbez and normal and extreme is going to be the boss. And 6.5, 4 fiends have already been
I'm
done.
seeing 0.
So some people are guessing 0 turns into something. It might become Zero Miss. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm thinking 0. I'm thinking
Yeah.
0
I've
is
seen
0
two
miss.
theories. Zero Miss, or maybe that dragon that we've been trying to rescue is...
Oh,
still a good point.
that could be
Golbez.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, the dude's sister. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm still on the camp of 0 is 0 miss. That's why
Yeah, that'd be
they're
very
so
interesting.
strong and maintained a human form. And
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool.
The only other thing I could think of is if the only other thing I could think of aside from 0 being Zero Miss is what if 0 was the shard of you that was on the 13th? That's
also
See, that's
Interesting.
a good point.
That's not a mutually exclusive idea, Glitch.
Yeah, no, it's not.
yeah.
Okay.
I feel like no matter what, by the end of 6.50 is not going to be
Yeah.
a friend anymore.
I have a
Like,
feeling.
'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, Warrior of Darkness was never really that bad. Like,
Warrior of
Okay.
Darkness and Heavens were trying to kill you.
Well,
yeah,
that was to save their
but-
shard.
Right.
They
Yeah.
thought it would save their shard. Like
Yeah.
I would go to another shard and we go to the 13th and kill a bunch of shit.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So looking at Final Fantasy IV, what we know of Zero Miss is actually very little. Other than that, it was a Lunarian that was sealed in the moon for a really long time and was evil. And there's a little bit more to that story. How that's going to connect with Zero, it could be interesting. The fact that 14 does add a lot of lore to the franchise. I would like to see that happen with Zero, but we are fighting Golbez this time in 6.4. That's going to be really fun if you have never played for or seen Golbez in 3D in some of the games that he's in. Look up some videos of Dissidia. You get a little idea of how he fights. Very, very interesting. A lot of magic. He mostly fights with magic. But we'll see. Who knows? They called him the Black Knight early on in the 6.x series. And that could apply to anything, whether he's a magic knight or actually uses a sword. We lost. Oh, welcome back, Osh. You there?
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Thor called because there was an earthquake earlier. He's like, "Was there an earthquake?"
Oh crap! Everything okay?
Yeah, everything's fine.
Okay.
It was just like one loud like bang, and
Okay.
the house shook for a second, but that was it. Nothing fell down. Everything's good.
Okay.
They went up to Knott's Berry Farm, so they weren't here.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. Well,
Sorry about that.
No worries. No worries at all. Glad everything's okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were just talking about Golbez, and then of course we have the new Unreal trial. Will be Containment Bay Z1T9, which we all know is Sephiroth. Sephiroth. Oh, not Sephiroth. My bad. Sephiroth's the current one. Zervin. Yeah.
Oh God,
Zervin.
not Sephiroth again. Not
No.
Sephiroth.
There's not a second Sephiroth. Yoshida did say that the boss from the original Zervin from Heavensward during the time that it came out was considered easier. If you think if you played Heavensward and you tried to fight it synced, you might get kind of an idea, because like Sophia was really challenging back in the day, but when Zervin came out, it just seemed like people were clearing it like a lot faster. Or if you can think of any modern EX trials where one was really crazy and the next one was like pretty doable, it was kind of like that. So people would see Zervin as kind of like the easier one at the end of the EX trials in Heavensward. But then he said today's Unreal Zervin will surprise players at how much harder it is in the Unreal.
Good.
So Zervin is not a pushover in the Unreal.
Because like Sephiroth was the hardest of those three, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like Sophia was just manage the scales, whatever, deal with it.
For Unreal.
We haven't had Sophia Unreal yet.
Oh, wait,
Yeah, we have. It's,
Wait.
it's
Oh, we
live
did?
right
yeah,
now.
we did. We did.
Literally
Oh,
right now.
that's what's going on right now. I
Yeah,
haven't
that's the
done it.
current one. Yeah. So
Well, I should try to do that before it's over.
following that, we also have the next stage of Pandemonium, which we all expected. We all knew that was coming. It's an even patch. So what a lot of players know in 14 is that the 24-man raids are usually on the odd patches, and the 8-man raids are on the even patches. So this being an even patch 6.4. We're getting the final tier of
Anabesios.
Yep, Anabesios. Pandemonium Anabesios, normal and savage will be released 1 week following the 6.4 launch. And as a lot of players know, these come in trios. So it'll be, like I said, odd and even patches. Goes Alliance raid. Oh no, sorry. Goes 8-man raid, Alliance raid, which is 24-man. Then back to the second 8-man, and then of course the next one will be second 24-man, and so on and so forth, until we have 3 of both. And then the final one is the 0.5 patch that has the final 24-man. So we are getting the finale, the very last set of Pandemonium raids, and they always come in 4. 8-man raids are always 4 raids. Alliance raids, so it's always one big raid.
AOR.
So there's 3 sets of 4 for
AOR is an
Pandemonium.
outlier.
No, we're not talking about the base game.
I know. Sorry. I had the opportunity to say it.
Yeah.
No, Yoshi. The Crystal Tower can't hurt you
Now,
anymore.
Here's a fun fact. They didn't talk about this during the live letter, but they did talk about it at Yoshi P's recent panel. I believe was at PAX. Somebody asked a question that kind of related to a hint at what we might be seeing in a future patch very soon, which could very much be 6.4. And I've seen some people talking about this on YouTube as well. Somebody asked Yoshi, will we ever actually find out more about the true origin of the Heart of Sabik? And we know that the Heart of Sabik is the device or the core that powered the Ultima weapon, and then the Garleans tried to replicate that, and that's why they sing Beef Soft Tacos a lot, because they're talking about the Heart of Sabik. Yeah, and so if you get that joke, you're awesome. The The Heart of Sabik also powered, as we know from the very long cutscene in MSQ Roulette that we do, contains the ultimate magic, Ultima, which throughout Final Fantasy lore is always known as the ultimate magic that contains like all the elements in one or something, and
it was called Nuke in Final Fantasy
extremely powerful. Yeah, and so having ultimate weapon or any kind of thing powered by that is pretty crazy, and we saw how devastating the ultimate spell can be because we got to see it blow up the Praetorium. So
it wasn't their intention.
We know from 14's lore that La Habrea was the one who helped develop the Heart of Sabik, but there could be more to that story. You know, why did he do it? How did he do it? Where did the Ultima magic itself come from? Which I believe may have been related to Ultima, the High Seraph. It could be some kind of secret magic, and there is a backstory with Ultima's rebellion and all this other stuff that kind of had to do with that time period in the history. But not to delve too much into lore, because I will get carried away. There was a hint where they asked Yoshi that question, and he said, "Oh, you're going to find out soon."
I have a feeling that the Heart of Sabik has to do with the Pandemonium raids.
And that's my next point, is that because we're dealing with La Habrea in the past, it might actually end with something to do, the Pandemonium raids might end with something to do with the Heart of Sabik's creation. So maybe we'll see that. We have a new variant and Criterion dungeon coming out in 6.45. That's the one that comes out a couple months after 6.4's launch in May. That is Mount Rokon. It is a area in the Hingashi Oridoma region. It kind of has a Kugane Castle vibe. That's the new variant in Criterion Dungeon. We got to see a screenshot that showed like the tatami mats, and they mentioned in the live letter that if to remember the mechanic where the mats flip on you. That's going to be a big thing.
Yeah.
Yep, that's going to be fun.
You won't have to have cleared the previous Criterion Dungeon to do the new one.
That's the next thing I was going to say. Silden Subterrane was the very first one that released, and there will be 3 levels of difficulty as well, and you can go right into it, like Osh said. No need to clear the previous one. The next live letter is actually going to show more on this as well. Duty support is coming for Stormblood, Dungeons, Siren Song Sea, Alamigo, Castor Mabania, Bardam's Metal, and Doma Castle. For
all
now.
the MSQ ones.
Yeah, the MSQ ones. And they showed a screenshot with Gosetsu and a couple other characters. Hien, yeah. And they had a really good time making that screenshot. They said it made the Warrior Light look small compared to the other guys. Or cute, as they said.
Spoiler zone. I'm curious what they do with Bardam's Metal, because remember way back when, like, the whole point of that was that you had to go it alone. Well, the alone as far as the conceit of doing an infinite force.
Guess what? They actually said that when you do Bardam's Metal with duty support, that the part where you get to that challenge with the big stone golem and the DDR stuff, that it's all up to you in that part.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh lord.
Yeah, they said it's all up to you, and the NPCs will count on you to pass the challenge. And so, like you were saying with the story, it was a challenge in the story for someone to pass through Bardam's Metal, and so I'm assuming that the NPCs, like lore wise, are there to like accompany you, but because you have to pass that challenge on your own with the golem, that's kind of like what you were saying, Nora.
Mm-hmm.
You get a random solo duty in the middle of your dungeon. Let's go.
Instances all the way down.
Yep. Always has been.
Okay, so we got job adjustments coming for PvP and PvE. They said PvE adjustments for jobs will PvE, so player versus enemy content job changes will be detailed in the next live letter. That's the one that's a few weeks from now. They did talk about PvP though. What was that, Glitch?
I'm scared what they're doing with the PvE. But at the same time, hopefully it's a good change and not a we are nerfing you.
I mean, they didn't really let me down, so...
Yeah, they messed up my Paladin rotation. I just have to relearn it. Like, that's it.
I think
Goring
that they need
Blade is not part of my combo anymore. Let's go.
As a Paladin
I feel
main...
like they really need to buff Dragoon.
Yeah?
Like, my White Mage does more damage than a Dragoon. And that's terrifying.
Really?
Yes!
We've actually tested this.
Huh.
Is the Dragoon equally geared?
A crit glare.
Really?
Then I think Lance has with
Holy crap.
Spine
that might
Lance
just be because
Lance
of
has a bit higher burst than me too.
Yeah, that might be a gear thing or not hitting the perfect burst window thing.
Okay.
And also comparing a direct hit crit to like a normal hit is not the way to go.
Oh, okay. Well,
you can't go like, I can do this much. Like, I can do 228,000 damage, like bare minimum, with a direct hit crit unsynced on a dancer.
As a Paladin
but that doesn't
main,
mean that I'm gonna like destroy shit all the time.
As a Paladin main, it doesn't bother me at all what they did with Goring Blade. Like, they kind of just let it do all its damage at one time instead of making it a dot. But it kind of bugs me how they're trying to continuously reduce little things like that. Because I mean, I miss the stance dancing. That's what I miss. I miss popping over to Sword Oath and then doing like a stronger Goring Blade, then popping back over to defense mode and everything.
Yeah.
But I'm always for more buttons, and people call me crazy.
Dark stance, am I right?
I'm down with it. Like, my issue isn't so much that it's a bad change, so much as it is my muscle memory is now fucked.
I mean, you can still do the same rotation, just when you do it your second time, it's grayed out, and then you just hit something else instead. Yeah,
Goring Blade is on a second bar because it was a dot.
Okay.
So I'd only have to switch over it to dot.
Gotcha.
And I'd let it sit for a while, and now I have to be like, no, I just need to use it off cooldown no matter what.
Oh, okay.
But, the changes are good. I'm not mad about the changes in terms of, like, DPS output or viability. I'm mad about the changes because now I need to relearn Paladin.
So we'll have a lot more time soon once that information comes out for PvE content on the next live letter, not too long from now. But they did outline PvP, and we got to find out that Season 7 of Crystalline Conflict does begin with 6.4. Frontline is going to be adjusted with new UI elements, displaying time and score. Rules for Fields of Glory Shatter is going to be adjusted, and the Borderland Ruins Secure is going to be temporarily unavailable. Also,
I wonder why.
Blue Mage.
Because people are complaining about getting needed.
Mm-hmm.
What?
People complain about getting yeeted on secure.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. They want to rework it.
It is, but for me, it was always the ping pong of, oh, markets is up again, let's go cap it. Cool. Oh, markets is down again. Or insert intermediary control point here. Like, I feel like I never really got to do the actual objective since I was always stuck roaming between the points.
Yeah.
Are you guys excited for the new Blue Mage stuff?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cap to 80, new gear, new Blue Carnival, new spells to learn.
I'm just gonna say it now, Reika.
Consensitivity.
Probably as part of our farewell to Endwalker, whenever that ends up happening.
Oh god.
We need to do an all Blue Mage run of the Nier trilogy.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Oh, so we're gonna have like an Azure Rhapsody event.
Endwalker also had.
Yes, as part of like the last Azure event before whatever 7.0 is, we need to take a bunch of Blue Mages and try and clear the Nier trilogy.
I mean, we did it with Red Mages, so why not Blue?
Yeah.
I still think that we should. I think that we should still play the overture of 1812 with
yes,
Blue Mages as cannons.
If we can get enough bards and Blue Mages to do it, let's do it.
I really want to do that.
I will definitely say, as part of the blue thing, for any people who are listening in, or if when it comes to Blue 80, make sure to farm the Shadowbringers Extreme Trials if you need Gil. Every single one of those trials still makes you a ton of money because those plates are still selling for at least 150 to 200,000 each. Some have even jumped up in price because of the new glowy weapons. So
yeah.
Plus, it was pointed out that it will be pretty easy to farm your bicolor gemstones with 80 blue.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, the listeners are probably wondering what the updates are. They are. It is coming in 4.5, so that's not the launch of patch 6.4. That is the couple months little update afterwards. So, like I said earlier, July or August, we're going to be seeing the Blue Mage level cap raised to 80. New blue spells and gear gets added when this happens, as well as new enemies in the masked Carnival. So the new gear, the new 80 gear for Blue Mage is pretty fancy looking. Like we were mentioned, I think Glitch mentioned it at the beginning of the podcast.
Blue Mage gear has always looked pretty fancy.
Oh yeah,
it honestly has.
It's just drip. It's just drip incarnate.
Those of y'all who come to Wondrous Tales know that during Tsukiyomi, I will always inevitably say, "Give us concentrativity, you cowards." I still. All respect to Yoshi P and the devs, of course, but that is the one blue spell I've been looking forward to the most until today. I have 2 words for you now, Osh.
Oh, what?
Light Rampant.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
Oh,
Lord.
Writing.
Everyone who did E8S, let's do it. Light Rampant, go.
Let's bring
God.
Chibi and give him emotional damage.
Just learning that spell is gonna be hell if it's a spell.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh man, the music's so good though.
A little bit of miscellaneous things. There is Eorzea and Symphony coming to the US and Europe. Ocean fishing.
So sad that that's only part of FanFest.
Ocean fishing's getting an update for 6.4.
Kugane.
Yeah, Kugane Harbor. Then the
have
boat
to
travels into
wonder-
Ruby Sea.
I have to wonder about how they actually make that work in universe, because if you remember back to the beginning of Stormblood, sailing all the way over to the Far East is like an ordeal, and now it's just like, oh, we're gonna do a casual fishing trip over there.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you guys just scavenge some Magitech engines from the ruins of Garlemald or something?
Did you watch the live letter, Nora?
No, unfortunately.
Here's the funny part. They brought that up. They brought up exactly what you were saying. They were laughing about how it was a big deal to sail all that way and do a dungeon and everything. But now it's like, just like casual sightseeing.
Yeah.
So it's like Game of Thrones season 7 and 8. when they were just teleported over the place.
We killed all the ghosts. We killed all the ghosts and krakens. Now you can just come here on vacation.
Oh yeah.
Please visit Onokoro.
I'm
Heaven on high.
Yeah, what's cool about that is when you're on the boat, you can see those locations, in a different angle from what you see normally. What were we gonna say, Sebastian?
I was going to say, it was kind of mentioned offhand, but one thing that kind of did, two things that really did excite me about the live letter was they're apparently going to be showing off not really showing off, they're going to give us what Yoshi said, a sneak peek of what the 7.0 graphics overhaul is going to look like at FanFest.
Yep.
Yes.
And also as well, this new, probably maybe new, maybe not, depending on when you're listening to this, the data center upgrade that they are doing. They are hoping that with the upgrade, they'll be able to go down the line and not only add in the ability to have more glam plates, but also increase the amount of items you can put in a house.
Yes.
Which on that note, we're getting 100 gear sets basically immediately.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Everybody's gonna have 100 gear sets unlocked, available to everybody, no matter what progression you're at, whether you're a new character or not. Previously, it was unlocked based on how far you were or how many jobs you had unlocked, etc. There's also
very glamorous.
a number of Island Sanctuary updates, a pretty big chunk to Island Sanctuary. So if you're an Island Sanctuary fan and you've been working on your island, or you're going to get started on your island soon, these are coming out with 6.4. So we've got a new gathering area in the wilds, new construction plots, new item rewards, new mats, new craftable items, crops, animals, and ironwork handicrafts. Yoshi did comment that the island updates are going to continue at once every 2 patches pace. So it'll give people time at least through, the patch that comes out and the patch after that.
Yeah. And they'll let you put outdoor housing items.
Yeah. 90... a limit of 90 outdoor furnishing items for all y'all Misty who haven't gotten a house yet.
Yep.
I heard that, Nora.
There's a new building coming out too. It's like a really tall building with a little house at the bottom and like a big clock tower with stairs going up to it. And then, like she was saying, the outdoor furnishings are added to the hideaway.
But no garden plots, unfortunately. Which
or chocobos. No chocobo stables.
They won't do or striking dummies because it's just not coded for that at all. Like it doesn't support any of that because it's not battle or FC word type gameplay. Let me see, so they do want to increase the number of items you can place, and then of course, like Sebastian was saying, it'll eventually lead to them looking at more housing items. And then increasing in glamour dresser slots. Few other real miscellaneous things.
I was going to say, we skipped over the fact that the new tombstones are coming out with 6.4.
Yeah, Tombstones of Comedy.
Comedy.
That's on my list.
Go clown
as
stones.
well here.
Say clown stones, but apparently, I was reading today. Someone on Reddit actually did the translation from the Japanese. It's supposed to be a reference to Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy.
Oh, I know.
I'm really hyped about, because if they're making that reference,
where did they say that?
It's apparently the Japanese text for the tombstones.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, because what Yoshi was talking about was, he said the Japanese was Algan tombstones kumikyoku, and that's actually a type of song, and so if you know kumikyoku song, it was something that Soken and Yoshi had laughed about, and then this might be a joke, because these guys are very convincing sometimes. They'll say something like it's a fact, it'll be a joke, but they said that because somebody laughed at the idea of calling it kumikyoku, they called it comedy in the English translation. That's the story I heard. But it would be funny if it was based off that too. Yeah, kumikyoku. That's Osh knows what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I participated in the Ryusegun one, not the original, but a fan one that we did a while back.
I actually watched it later.
I can still recite.
You mentioned it a while back.
13 minutes of those freaking lyrics.
I've got like maybe like 10 minutes of any given song.
Those are mismatched or mashed up versions of anime openings that they all put together to make one huge song out of, and they
Anime
were
and video games.
Yeah, anime and video games, and like 50 people would sing at the same time and add their own flair to it, and they were very entertaining. Okay, so last things for what's coming up in 14, number of miscellaneous things like nameplates showing job icons.
I like that. You can either have it be like the job icon itself or just a role icon.
And it won't be like all the time. It's just party gameplay and alliance gameplay will show.
Yeah.
Them. So it's meant to be helpful. I'm sure you can turn it on and off. Probably.
It's going to be toggleable.
I have an interesting fan theory about that.
Okay.
So, Reika, this is probably more of a Reika thing. I don't know about the rest of it, but I know at some point they said a lot of the reasons for restricting gear for glamour to certain jobs, like you have the sets of bending, sets of casting, etc., is to maintain each job's
the identity,
role identity.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is the first step toward relaxing that a bit.
I would love that. Because then you just see somebody out there wearing full plate, but when they talk in chat, they're a white mage. And you're like, okay, I know. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like.
So you mean like restoring some of that identity? Is that what you're saying?
No,
or like removing that identity,
some of that restriction. So I mean, obviously the gear itself would still be substatted for tanks or healers or magical DPS, but if we could potentially the casting set onto a machinist.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Some of that would be cool.
And that way, when you see that gear, you're thinking, "Oh, that's a healer," but it's really a machinist, and then. They have this.
That's been the dev team's kind
I'm
of
not sure.
Yeah,
I'm really not sure, but we'll see.
It'd be cool if that happens.
I mean, I know it would be helpful.
I'd love to wear across jobs that
no matter what anybody's wearing, to just see the icon moving around and know that that's exactly where the tank is and that's exactly where the healer is when you're, especially doing like raid content. I'm sure.
Yeah, especially if it's floating as part of the visible nameplate, because not just in chat. Because let me tell you, our Lala friends are cool. But it's damn near impossible to see y'all in
especially
the
when you're zoomed all the way out, looking at mechanics and exactly.
It's damn near impossible to see you.
Like one time, I was with two of our Lalafell friends, and we were doing the level 70 maps with the roulette thing, and I had to put markers on them because I could not see them.
Let's see. We gotta wrap up here shortly. Other than that, somebody mentioned the fairy glamours. So scholars in patch 6.4 can swap between Eos, Selene, and Carbuncle. Items stored in a variety of locations can now be selected when you're casting glamours in an in-room. Very handy. Very handy.
And
very nice.
We've already seen people say that the change that allowing you to have the fairy be glammed as your carbuncle is revenge for the fifth circle of pandemonium.
Yeah,
I saw that.
The interesting thing that they did, I never thought they would do something like this, but the transaction fees for items on the market board is going to be incorporated into the total asking price, displayed under a total.
It's an option.
Yeah, it's an option, but it's very interesting.
That's a great change.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Glasses and wing fashion accessories now displayed
Don't drop
when
in
engaged in
battle.
battle. And they said that they're going to explore more with that in the future. So maybe there will be a point where no matter what, you have them on.
We're a Korean MMO now, guys.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody's going to be running around with wings.
Overworld, though, instance areas, it'll still be the way it is now.
Okay, so if you had like an Emperor's New... I don't know if the Emperor's New Weapon exists, but if you had an invisible weapon, you could just beam things with your, like, umbrella.
Are we really going like a dragon now?
Oh my gosh.
I think. Oh God.
Ryuga Gotoku glitchy. Okay.
So the rest was mainly just a lot of like merchandise talk, fan festival details, which anybody can check out the fan festival website to find out about merch pre-orders, which did start today. Yoshida was suggesting to do that as soon as possible because they don't expect their supplies to last very long at the show. He said part of the reason for that, there's two reasons. One of the reasons is because they produce a lot of the merch for the shows locally in the countries that they have the shows, and two, the second reason, he inspects everything himself and he wants to make sure that the merch is likable to the region it's from. So he thinks that sometimes there's merch that might be in Japan that was brought over from America that might not be as popular as merch that came out there. So he's like, this is the level that Yoshi goes to try to please the fans. But it also results into... Apparently he does, as well as 100,000 other things. He's even talking about playing the Blue Protocol game as well. And during the stream, he was talking about Blue Protocol and actually telling people to please not overdo it because Blue Protocol is challenging and to not exhaust themselves.
Which, speaking of Yoshi P, I don't know if you saw this, but apparently 16 has gone gold.
Yeah, 16 has gone gold. 14 won a BAFTA award the other night as well, which is cool. Yoshi was talking about how
for best evolving game.
They, I think he said they got an invite and overlooked it, and he wants to go like next year or something. But here's a couple just short highlights that were really funny. Real fast, there was a moment where they were advertising these neck pillows, and there was a Mame Shiba, a axolotl one, which has a different name in game, and
the Mame Shiba one is adorable.
And then they had a Moorball one, and here's the funny part: Foxclaw and Yoshi P are sitting there, and they've got this. It's a neck pillow, right? But it zips and then unfolds and turns into a plushie, and then the plushie can turn back into the neck pillow. It's really interesting. The funny thing, if you watch the stream or if you go to the archive and you go to that part towards the end, there was a hilarious part. Like I was laughing so hard, and Yoshi was like laughing, turning red. They were they were trying to get the stupid Mama Shiba one to back into its like transformation, and it got stuck. And both him and Foxclaw were like shaking it while this deflated dog is like hanging upside down, lifeless, like a rag doll. And they were cracking up, and they're like, "Why?" They go, "Why are two grown men failing to stuff this dog?" Oh my god! And then Yoshi, it made him laugh, and it made everybody else laugh. And then he was laughing so hard at it, and it was just the whole thing just it just devolved into this hilarious moment. And then of course there was a moment where the audio cut out, and when it came back, Yoshi was like, "Oh, I just talked about a new job in 14, but because the audio went out, then I guess it's too bad you guys didn't get to hear."
Oh, that's hostile.
Isn't that hilarious?
So, talking about new jobs potentially, spoilers for the Manderville quest line. We basically did the Ject shot.
That's hilarious.
I'm waiting for Yoshi. I'm waiting for Yoshi P to come out in like a sports jersey.
Yeah.
And be like, Blitzballer is the new.
You know what?
His range.
I wonder
if he's just put it in the gold saucer. Let us play.
What if he's waiting for a reflection for that, or what if he's waiting for Maricidia or something? Because if we look at the Ronzo, right, the Rothgar are no. Well, here's the thing: the Rothgar are called Ronzo in the first because the first has its own names for the same races.
Yeah.
But my theory, because I believe in the ultimate timeline of Final Fantasy, that Final Fantasy X fit, and I promise I won't go into a lore rant because we got to end here in a second. But the Final Fantasy X did take place in a world that was a post Ice Age, ancient Doma. The waters were still settling from the ice and everything, so there's a lot of water in 10. Water is a big theme of 10, and of course the world that you see is very small. There is lore supporting this in 14 in item descriptions for the FF10 minions and the Scrolls of the Faith item, which talks about an ancient society in ancient Doma with the story of a summoner and her guardians and all that stuff. So we know that Final Fantasy X took place a long time ago, and a long time ago was also the Ascian Sundering and all that stuff. And so that's what makes me think that things were just shooken up, right, all over the reflections. So the Ronzo Hrothgar, as we know them on Aetheris, but they know them as Ronso in the first. The Ronso maintained their identity as far as their name for a while, but of course they were separated from the world they were from, and then they advanced, and thousands of years went by, and they changed and became the Ronso of the first, but they still call themselves Ronso. So that means that there are some bits that have survived from cultures of the past, and what if one of those cultures of the past kept Blitzball alive? That's where I'm thinking Blitzball is going to make sense in the lore in 14, because they can find a way to make that make sense.
Like the Blitzball, like unlocking Blitzballer as a job is going to be like, help us find the parts to set up this crazy water sphere.
Well, I mean, it's a new job as a
that,
ranger.
that would be funny.
Fizz ranged. Give us
be...
Waka as a playable thing.
Everybody thinks it's going to be like another Lord of Vermilion thing that comes out and it's really cool for a minute and then everybody forgets about it for years. Or maybe a Mahjong type thing, or it has its own arena that you queue for the duty finder. Who knows? Yeah. But what if it was a job? That's the first time I heard everybody say that.
If it comes out as a game, I'll be psyched. If it comes out as a job, I will be psyched. It doesn't
either way,
right?
Because think of all the balls that they could release. You know what I mean? And
right.
It will be the most ballistic job of all time.
Oh my god! Here we go again.
How long?
And then you can run.
Someone figures out how to glide.
Someone stop it.
Oh my god!
No, guys! You can run
We've already
near.
Cheetah's glam.
No, you can be a blitzballer and run near, and then you can be nearly ballistic.
Well, I think we're at the point in the podcast where Reika needs to take her meds and we need to walk away.
Yeah.
Wait. What if volleyball was an actual recognized sport?
Okay, I've got two last points I just want to make really quick. Final Fantasy 14 10th anniversary is this year. They announced a big event at the Hanazono Stadium in Osaka via a company called Mirai no Hanabi, that means future of fireworks in Japanese. An entertainment show with fireworks synced to music, and so I'm hoping they stream that because that would be really cool. Ticket sales are going to go up, so anybody that's planning a trip to Japan, I have a number of friends that are going throughout this year, so anybody listening to this, keep an eye out for that because that's going to be a one of a kind, once in a lifetime experience. The 10th anniversary.
I know of at least one person in my static who's going, and all I will say is, "You lucky son of a."
Oh yeah.
And also,
Lance, if you're watching this,
one other highlight. Oh yeah, Lance could go. Yeah, our scout captain. Yeah.
Oh no, I am totally calling Lance out on that one.
Yeah, Lance, if you're listening to this, you gotta go for us and take some pictures.
You have to,
for sure.
You have to stream it for us.
So go to the Final Fantasy 14.
Or at least tell us what happens afterwards.
You gotta go take some pictures for
Eat
us.
snacks for me.
Also, new president of Square Enix. That could be debated on how good or bad that's going to be, but the guy is pretty comical already. Matsuda was there on
adorable.
the stream. They started out with Matsuda, the previous president, and I always liked Matsuda. I know some people had issues with him for some things that he...
Up until the NFT stuff,
the NFTs and some of the mobile decisions and such, and live service games that didn't exactly work out, like Sebastian called the Square Enix special in that one channel. But aside from that, Matsuda was a funny guy. He was also a boss fight in several games as well.
Yes.
He was featured in 15 and Nier Automata. And besides that, though, the new guy, which I incorrectly called Kishida in our chat because I was thinking of something and I was up for like 14 hours. I was really tired. His name's Kiryu, actually. Kiryu, the new president. Here's the funny thing. The new president has been on the board at Square Enix for a while. He's a younger guy, and he's got a good sense of humor. Him and his wife are both 14 players, and it was really funny because he tripped up during the live letter and almost gave away his player name. Yeah, it was so funny. And then he said maybe I shouldn't, but maybe someday I will. And then he said it's actually his wife is the big player, like the big fan and got him into it. So I find that pretty funny. So we've got a player, an actual player is also the president now.
I have a feeling that if
they couldn't shut down Yoshi P before this. They definitely can't now. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say that too. That's another thing. Matsuda, the previous president, there was a time where Yoshi had come to him and said, we've really got to do this thing. It's really important. I forgot what thing it was, but I remember this. I think they talked about this either at the last FanFest or the announcement showcase in early 2021, where Yoshi, it was a difficult time for Square mid-pandemic, and he asked the president for a big favor, and Matsuda was like, "For you, we will do it." And so Matsuda was a guy that would do big favors to Yoshi P, but given that Kiryu is is a player as well, like that makes me think that there's going to be something, like some funny stuff ahead, and maybe even some moments where that Yoshi, it kind of felt like on the podcast, it looked like Yoshi was almost mentoring the new president, like the way they were talking to each other.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
this
definitely.
guy, he's got a lot to learn, and then Matsuda, was going to continue to mentor him as well, I believe. So it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. He's a younger dude that's kind of funny already, and a lot of people are saying give him a chance, but like I said, he has been on the board, so at least he's not just some outsider that joined Square, and I don't know.
Yeah,
so.
not coming in to try to cut costs or whatever.
And this
one more minor note about two more things. First of all, if you haven't seen the promo they released for Eorzean Symphony,
yeah.
Oh yes, I'm so glad you mentioned that.
It's close in the distance.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yes, get ready to feel things again, y'all.
Nora, I'm so glad you mentioned that. I was actually telling my mom about that after I saw it. That video. I teared up. I teared up watching that. I literally was overwhelmed with emotion. They showed a promo. So when they do a Eorzean Symphony, they will release a Blu-ray, eventually when it's all done. And I believe they were already showing it. I think.
Yeah, it's gonna go up for pre-order end of April.
There was a break in the live letter this morning where they not only brought back the Korean anime 14 cutscene, which is awesome, but they showed a video of the it's like the whole segment of that Closing the Distance at the orchestra. And what they had done was they had this big auditorium. They gave everybody, almost seemed like everybody in the audience had a light up Elpis flower. And the moment in the video on the Jumbotron, when the height of that song hits and all the flowers light up at in Ultima Thule, they did it in the audience. So the audience lighting up the flowers matched the video, and at the crescendo, of the height of that song. And it was extremely emotional.
I was gonna say that's the part.
It doesn't sound that emotional thinking about it, but when you see it, it's like wow, And,
it's like when you see like
shitty YouTube quality, I can already tell it's gonna be a special arrangement.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
it's like when you see
tied to NA FanFest, so we won't be able to go then. But if they do another performance, I'm gonna have to track that one down.
Yeah, they said
it's a lot like the Miku concerts back in the day.
Yep.
When they would pop them at the exact same time, and you just see an entire crowd going front back at the exact same timing.
Yep. Yeah,
it's a feeling.
Well, yeah, in Japan, there's a lot of audience participation type stuff. Glow sticks are a big thing. I know there was one concert I went to was for Haruka Momoi. She her hometown, the flag of her hometown was like orange, so everybody in the audience had orange glow sticks just to make her feel at home here. Things like that. There's always like audience participation stuff, and that's what I thought was really, really nice.
And speaking as someone who's had the privilege to conduct an orchestra and choir before, I can just imagine how emotional that moment would have been on the podium.
Oh God!
If you guys haven't seen it, go look it up. It's awesome.
The showmanship, just the sheer emotion leading into that, having it go off. Yeah.
Just how much you feel it watching it. Imagine how much they feel conducting it.
Yes.
Or playing it.
Yep.
Yeah. It's really something. Definitely go look that up. The Final Fantasy 14 Orchestra Close in the Distance video, really amazing. All right, you guys, this is the end of our episode. We had a good chunky episode. Gonna be a little bit of editing and then get it out as soon as possible. If you are listening, or when you are listening to this episode, we did record this on Friday, the 31st. So I'm expecting to have this out pretty soon as possible. And like I said, the details for the other chunk of stuff from 6.4, which is mainly just PvE discussion and a couple other little things, will be one of our next episodes. I don't know if it's going to be out by the next episode 2 weeks from this point, or if it's going to be just after that they hold the next live letter. There's not a solid date for that. I think
it's probably going to be the usual Part 2 live letter timing, so like 2 weeks before the patch.
But whatever, if you're listening to this, you can look forward to whatever episode that we record following that next live letter. We're going to get, down with that discussion when we get there. So I want to thank you all for listening, and thank you all for joining me today on Azure Infinitum Podcasts.
And obligatory, it's after midnight on the East Coast. Happy April Fools.
True, yeah. Happy April Fools.
We're all off the
For those of us in more chill time zones.
Yep.
Happy Trans Day of Visibility.
Also, happy National Backup Day.
Also, happy Hatching Tide. Look forward to Azure Hatching Tide coming
Happy
April
Hatching
8th.
Nice.
We got a whole day of events planned, so definitely check that out. All right.
But definitely happy Trans Visibility Day. Fuck yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
Alright, you know what that means? Everyone who's trans, you failed your stealth rolls.
It's not failing, it's rolling at disadvantage. Come on, we're fighting.
Excuse me. I know how you roll disadvantage.
Yes.
You killed me!
I am going to bow. You all have a good one.
See you guys on the next episode.
Roll disadvantage so I can take a whole shit ton of